It's being recorded. All right. Welcome to team meeting. Today, we had as my son says it, memorable day yesterday. We have to remind him that it's Memorial Day. So hopefully you guys all had a great day yesterday. And let's get going on some bucket fills. Do you guys have anything that maybe something happened well or something good happened yesterday or anything that you'd like to spread some positivity? Who has something? Nick is back. Where is he at? Nick?
This is my acceptance speech. Thank you. I guess we're supposed to say it in the microphone now, right? We're recording.
Yep, so Zoom can hear it.
I'm back. And my bucket fill is to Brock, Lori, Rich, pretty much Tyler for sure. Tyler, everyone helped me while I was gone. So thanks for letting me take a little break. We have some really cool people on our team. So it's nice to be able to, unplug for a little bit and live a life worth living.
Awesome. Excellent. Who else?
So I'll say I filled in for accountability in the morning when Nick was gone, and it was not nearly as engaging as when Nick is here. He brings so much value, and I think you pour a lot into these agents. So hooray for Nick.
Awesome. What else? Yeah. Anyone else have something good or see someone else that happened? Over here.
I was going to say I had to do my first open house in Hiram. A nod to him. He let me tag along and just observe. And I thought it was a great learning experience and I learned a lot. And I just thought it was really cool that he let me just tag along.
Awesome. Yep. Well, yell it. Excellent. This one, so you saw me chatting to all bucket fill Tyler Dillian back here. So this is not real estate related, but just mindset as far as doing something big. So Tyler has been participating in a full Ironman distance races. It's not a race, but there's a guy, if you haven't heard of him, Iron Cowboy. He did a documentary, 50-50-50. He's right now doing 100 Ironmans in 100 days, back to back, and he's on right now. Day 93 is today. And so Tyler, how many have you been like participating with him? How many different days? 5? Yep. No. Yeah, so he's been doing the full, the swim and the bike and the run with him. I saw, it wasn't like we finally saw each other. So I was right. I just did the bike portion with him yesterday and we didn't see each other till like mile 80. It was kind of funny that we're like, what? Hey, Tyler, sweet. You selling a home right now? Sweet. Anyway, so doing some cool things outside of real estate. I think that's definitely admirable. And if you have any desire to do either of those, then you can still participate in that. Anything else? All righty. Okay, Brock, let's invite you back up here.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so he's pulling up a slide real quick. But one thing I had, this is in relation to 2 posts that I'd already talked about, these 2 things. But the first thing is anybody aware of the cap on second home and investment properties that the agencies have put in place? There's only a certain number or a certain percentage of those loans that can be done. Everybody know that? No. Okay, so if you have clients buying a second home or an investment property and pricing is really bad, or the bank is saying they can't do the loan or something along those lines, there's caps both for the agencies themselves and each individual company that sells these loans to the agencies. So most commonly what you're seeing is to slow the flow, just typical supply and demand. They're just hiking the prices up as they near that cap. So the rates get really expensive or the fees get really expensive. So one thing that Cross Country has done is we've released a program that is not agency-based. It's just an internal portfolio program to continue doing those even if we do near our cap, but it's also more competitive than agency financing, even though we're not at our cap. So if you have investor clients, I'd love the opportunity to chat with them, or second home clients. We have really great program for that. It's in-house. And then the next thing is this. I shared this on the KW South Valley page, but for some reason, it's like it got taken down, or I don't know what happened. So if you want to find this, it's on my personal Facebook page. But this is a graph.
It is still on the, we
Oh, it
found it
is.
on the K.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's further down.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, you might have to slide it a little bit.
Sweet. Yeah, this is really cool. So First American, their data and analytics team published this little research report, and it shows, so what we're seeing here on this green line, and then there's a smaller blue line. It's comparing December 2020 to March 2006. So granted, it doesn't take into account, the first few months of this year, but what it's showing is the median house buying power in Salt Lake as a metro area is $200,000. Well, excuse me. The median house buying power can afford $200,000 more than the median house price in that MSA. So what that means is that our area, compared to the incomes and the house prices, is still very affordable. You can see, some of these places like North Carolina may be more affordable than us, but by and large, we're like in the more affordable places. California is the only one that's not. So all this talk we hear on the news about, incomes not going up as quickly as home prices are and all this stuff, it's really not accurate, because it's only a percentage of your income that is taken when the rates go up. So just, I think maybe sharing this data with your clients, not letting them buy into the fear of the media and all that crap, keeping them motivated to buy because they actually can't afford it. So that's it. Thanks, guys. Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm sorry. Tyler gave me that speech today. So agencies, that's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So the primary buyers of conventional loans is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. And those are, when I say the agencies, there's others too. FHA and VA are also agencies, but Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is who, and it's actually FHFA, who is the governing agency over them, that put this into place. So it's basically the standard conventional loan that you would see anywhere. That's where that cap exists. Does that make sense? Oh, yes. Correct. The number of investment and second home mortgages that can be done of the total sum of mortgages being done is capped at 7% per lender and all across the board. Yeah. So they'll literally, if we ever hit that cap, I guess they would stop. They wouldn't allow it anymore. And they're actually talking now about ratcheting that down over the next year or so by about 0.5 point, maybe every 6 months, down to 6%. So there are some definite changes coming to agency financing, which is going to make portfolio type products more prevalent as some of these things that have been on the docket to be launched as it relates to lending for years since they implemented, like, I don't know if you've heard of QM or qualified mortgage or ability to repay, their laws that were put into place, and they've been kind of pushed back on the implementation of these restrictions for years. They've had patches in place that have allowed us to do business like we've always done it. That is coming to an end unless it gets eliminated somehow. And so we're going to see things continually get a little tighter, which means there's probably going to be more different options, kind of like what I told you we launched for these, non-agency investment loans. So cool. Any other questions? Sweet.
So on that, I saw an investment loan rate. I was really surprised, and I saw it above 4% when I was expecting it to be in the 3 something range. And so this is real. If you're seeing someone, if you have a client and you guys are seeing a rate somewhere above 4%, then double check with Brock over here, because there are some lenders that they don't have this other area that they can give you a different rate at. So. All right, so as a reminder about Keller Williams, a few of the things that we stand for here are, if you guys have heard of, so I'll just share this real quick or explain down on the bottom left, the MVVBP. Try to say that really fast a few times. What this basically is, so missions, so you'll see this right here. So this is the mission. This is the vision. This is the values. This is the beliefs. This slide right here is also known as the Y4C2Ts. A lot of the vernacular that you might hear in Keller Williams. So if you just see the WI and then the 4C, 2 Ts, Y4C, 2 Ts is also the beliefs here and the perspective. So I think this is important to remember and to realize that this is something that's not just, for like this year, the last few years. This is the foundation of Keller Williams. And this is one of the things that I'm most proud of, that this comes from KW International. And a lot of these values and the mission statement, everything is just something as far as why and a little bit more of the undertone of the company itself. So that's why we've got these up here, just as a reminder of these things. Here's a reminder. So we are doing an agent referral drawing. So if you guys have any friends out there that are agents with different companies and you think that they would be a good culture fit or maybe good addition here, just a referral to one of us. So down at the very bottom, you can text Tyler, Terry, Carrie, or really anyone on staff. We'll get it the right person. And just let us know if there's someone that you feel like would be a good value. What we're doing is once a month, we're doing a $100 drawing for people who, if you guys have an agent referral. So you'll put your name into that drawing and then we'll do that drawing and you guys will be able to win $100. Something kind of exciting there. This is pretty interesting if you didn't see this already. So LinkedIn named Keller Williams. So down here, LinkedIn just named KW one of the 50 best workplaces to grow your career in the US. And that puts us in the same club as Amazon, Apple, Alphabet, which is Google's parent company. So I think this is pretty cool to recognize and realize that that's a pretty big achievement. This listings clinic we've got with Carl Baptiste. He's the guy that we heard from him last week. But if you guys want to up your listings game, this is only $50. It includes lunch, and it's going to be at the Salt Lake Community College Center. And this is coming up. So June 17th. If you haven't registered or you would like to, then this has been in emails that I know Kimber has sent out, and it has a clickable registration. So just search Kimber's name in your email and you'll find that. If you can't find it, then let us know. But this will give you some great info. Here's a quick tip for there's listings. There's kind of a kit that we can give you for the month. And what I'd like to do is share this QR code. If you guys want a little tip for this, will give you kind of a script for, let me go back and I'll share what this is. So it's got kind of an email script. It's got a text script. It has a social media post. So just a bunch of stuff that's already done for you. And if you are looking for ways to communicate with your SOI or any of your marketing with the intention of getting sellers, scan this QR code and there's a kit that comes in a little zip file. So I'll leave that up for just a second. So if you scan it, it'll take you to a website. It's on KW Connect and it has a little downloadable zip file. So got an error? Oh, it should work. At least it worked on my test It worked? This will also be on the recording if for some reason you're having an issue getting that, but yeah, it will come up with, yes. This is, so we'll put this out in the recording as well. Yep.
On KW Connect in the search bar, if you search client communication kit, there's actually a lot of these. This is just the most recent. And so the marketing department at KWRI is being a lot better about updating this content frequently. Because I get that question all the time. Oh, eEdge used to have this content in there that I could just push a few buttons, but they hadn't updated the content for literally 6-7 years. So I just think that's not the thing to be sending to your clients. So the nice thing is they're doing these updates monthly, quarterly with the content. So if you look up client communication kit, there's even like a little guide about like walking your client through getting financing and so you can have a lot of ideas for social or emails.
Thank you for adding this. Yeah, so this is just one of many. And if you want, honestly, if you want all of them, this is just, there's no like secret. This isn't just like a one-time thing. But if you want all of it, just search that on KW Connect. It'll take you to the same site. Client communication kit. Search that on KW Connect. Any questions on that? Okay, coming up. So this is next week. If you haven't signed up and you need your 3-hour core CE, this is a mandatory course to renew. And if you need this, then Curtis Bullock, he's the CEO of Salt Lake Board of Realtors. He's coming to our office and offering that here. So again, in the email, search Kimber's name. She's already sent this out and you can click on that to register for it. Client appreciation. Amy, do you want to talk about this?
Awesome. So our big summer client event is coming up on June 14th. It's always our biggest event of the year. And I know we have a lot of new agents or people that maybe haven't plugged in before. So I just wanted to make sure you understand how it all works. So this is a great opportunity for you to reach out to your entire sphere, reach out to everybody you know, send them a personal invitation. What we need from you is a goal. So if I want 50 people to show up to my event, I can invite as many people as I want, but I'm going to contact me, Amy McMullen at kw.com, and let me know, hey, my goal is 50 people. I'm Venmoing you $150. And then I'm going to put your name and 50 tickets under your name. And then you're going to go out and you're going to fill those spots with clients, people you know, anybody. They just need to present your name at the check-in desk. We'll write down who they are so you know who out of everyone that you invited attended. So you'll get a list of all of your attendees. If there's any tickets that go unused, we just donate that to KW Cares. So set a goal, send your Venmo. The Venmo is just at KW South Valley. And then just reach out to everybody. It's a great opportunity to call your clients, text them, send them an email. You can do a personalized postcard through Kimber, though if you do that, you want to get that mailed like ASAP or they're not going to get it before the event. But you can also email out that branded postcard as well if you want to do it as an email. So it's a great opportunity to get at least 5 touches in to your sphere. And you can market this as your event. Don't market it as a public event. Don't put anything on Facebook or Eventbrite that's a public event, but you can market it as this is my client event and I'd like you to come. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me, but I'd love to see those RSVP Venmos start rolling in.
When are those due by?
June 3rd is when we want your RSVPs to us. So we have an idea of how many people will be coming. If you're a couple days late, it's okay. Just really get on that, get them to me as soon as possible. So June 3rd is kind of when we're going to start tallying up how many people we think are going to show at the event. If you have people, more people show than what you RSVP'd for. it's okay, we're going to take care of you, we're going to take care of them. But we really just want to have a good idea of what we're planning on. And it's a good way to set a goal for how many people you want to get to show up and have some skin in the game. So June 3rd, RSVPs. Any other questions?
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. This is a great way, if you guys haven't, to love on your database, let them know. And just to reiterate, even if you don't already have people committed to come, just like Amy said, what's your goal? Like how many, you just need to reserve tickets. So that way we can have the head count, we can have the plans in place. And this is such an inexpensive way to have great value for your SOI.
From you more experienced agents that have done multiple events. So we had on the postcards, we wrote that deadline of June 3rd. So if we're calling them on like June 7th, because we still haven't heard back from them, what's a gracious way to say, well, it was a deadline, but it wasn't really a deadline. I still want you to come. Like, any tips on that?
I think just saying that, honestly, just, yeah, we just reach back out. And if they say, oh, we thought we missed it. Well, we have, we're extending doing an extended period for you. Yeah. There we go. Okay, let's bring up Rich Summers. Let's give him some energy. All right, thank you, Rich, for being here. Let me sign out of my stuff here.
All righty. Who's come to one of my trainings in the last 2 months? Okay, today's kind of going to be a repeat. It's not exactly. I discussed with somebody here, I had planned something else, and then I read Kimber's topic and realized my topic I was going to teach had nothing to do with what you guys were expecting. So my classes are interactive. I want you all to go to quizizz.com, or excuse me, joinmyquiz.com. Use your phone. Don't worry, there's not going to be names involved. So it's going to be all anonymous, but we are going to find out who is the smartest person in this room. It might be Nick because he comes to a lot of these classes, but all right, once you go to join my quiz, type in those 6 numbers. We have 10 questions, but it's going to go throughout the whole remaining 30 minutes or so. And then at the very end, I have 13 points. I don't know how quick we'll go through them, but we'll go through them quick because we have 31 minutes of what I would do or the areas I would suggest in writing offers. So it looks like we have 9 people logged in. We will wait till there's at least 20 and then we'll get this thing started. The questions go quick. Most of them, I put a time limit of 20 seconds. There's a few that have 30 seconds. And those that are 30 seconds, you'll have to submit your answer. All the other ones, you just select one and it will be it. So, okay, we're at 17. Looks like we're named after fruits and, well, I don't know what to tell you. Nobody knows who it is. Okay, anyone else still logging in? Derek, are you in this game? All right. Here we go. Oh. Oh, I need some sound, I think. All right, it's going. Sound on this. All right, I don't know why there's not sound. Let's see what happened. I'm sorry, I'm off my game right now. I did not put the wrong answer. I'm going to put this microphone. Okay, 2 people got it right, and they're probably the ones that came to my class. There are not 4 deadlines. There's not 5. There's not 6. There are 12 deadlines in the REPSI, and that's without changing anything. So we're going to zip through them. I don't know why this isn't going full screen. Yes. Okay, we're going to go through them. I've never had to have that side. It's fine. And normally it's had sound. It's fine. Okay. Here we go. Here's the deadlines. This thing is going weird. Earnest money, due diligence, appraisal deadline, financing, and additional earnest money. So that's the first 5 deadlines for buyers. That's not all the deadlines for buyers, but it's 5 of them. Here's the reason why I'm putting these points in here. Most of these 12 points, 10 of them, are really where you want to structure your contract in how to strengthen it. Okay, seller deadlines, there's 3 of them. Seller disclosures, possession, and acceptance. So we're at 8. Buyer and seller deadlines, we have settlement, closing, and final walkthrough. The 12th one that I did not put on there, no, I'm going to go back. The 12th one is for the broker to turn in earnest money. Which one? The sellers? So 7, 3.3, and 25 are the sections. All right, these are going to be on the Facebook. I'll go through these with you, but for time purposes, we're going to move to the next question. And I wish there was sound because it puts more stress, but here we go. 3 seconds. 2, 1. Sound on the system up or just the microphone? Like if I was playing a radio? All right, let's see. Looks like Fiddlehead Flapjack is still winning. Okay, the right answer on earnest money is all of those. And let's go to the reason. Earnest money. Hiram, why don't you read that one?
Earnest money may be held wherever, whenever, and however the addendum states. Just remember, if the seller already has the earnest money, it may require the buyer to take the seller to court to get the money back if it should go back to the buyer.
Okay, so here's one strategy that we're seeing often. Earnest money to be non-refundable, and oftentimes we put that it's released to the seller, correct? Now, if that seller decides to default and not sell, I can't release that earnest money back to you. You're going to have to sue that seller to get that money. So there is a difference of the money being held at the brokerage versus actually releasing it to the client. Any questions so far? All right, I think we're down to question 3. Here we go. It's definitely more stressful when there's that background music, isn't there, Chris? Well, it has like the whole timer and everything. Okay. A lot of you got that one right. Good job. Oh, I'm going to go back. Okay, so loan amount. What we're talking about is section 2.1 and A and 2.1C. So if I have a buyer who has $700,000 in stock that they could use to purchase the home with cash, but they're going to be getting a loan. If I want to put maybe 500,000 or 600,000 in cash, even though that buyer is only going to use 100,000 of that cash, it is allowable because I have the means to purchase that home, and it's not changing anything. Does that make sense? Okay. Question 3, here we go. Or 4. I'm really disappointed I didn't put that sound on. Maybe it's that. There we go. We found it. Okay, settlements Monday. That is day 0. So day 4 would be Friday. It's not Thursday. So you need to remember the day of acceptance is day 0, is not day 1. A lot of questions around that still all these years. Okay, 7 of you got it right. Good job. Okay, next question. Why are you laughing at me? All righty. Okay. Now, most of you put a short-term lease back. Let me tell you why I recommend a 45-day closing rather than a short-term lease back. The key word in here is free. If you're doing a free lease, you're now doing tenant landlord law. So if that tenant or the previous seller decides to stay in the home longer, what is your penalty? I mean, you've created a whole different area of law of tenant landlords, and it favors the tenant a whole lot more than a seller buyer. So if you are not, if you're not collecting any money and it's less than 60 days, mark the possession in 3.3 and mark 45 days and just clarify in your letter to that agent, hey, we are letting you live there for free rather than do a full lease agreement. We thought the possession would be easier. The other thing, the lease agreement by default states that the buyer or the new landlord will pay for all the utilities. It's a whole lot cleaner just to mark that one checkbox in 3.3 if you're not collecting money. Now, if there is going to be money back, I would suggest a lower price personally and still go this route. But if there is going to be money back, then a short-term lease back would be the way to go. Okay, kind of went through that. Here we go. I think we're halfway through. All right. Let's see how we did. Most people went forward. Good job. All right. So yes, you can still order an appraisal and do it during due diligence. So One of the better strategies in this market is to waive the appraisal, because most of the time, let's face it, sellers aren't accepting offers with that appraisal included. And if they are, they want to make sure that there's significant money non-refundable for any reason, correct? So if you have non-refundable earnest money, go ahead and remove the appraisal condition. You can still cancel on financing or due diligence, but you're probably going to lose that earnest money already because you most likely made it non-refundable. Questions on this? We'll have plenty of questions at the end. Well, we'll see. Okay. You may want to take a picture of this screen. This is probably the best slide if there's a picture. One strategy I have seen is an agent will say, look, we're willing to pay $20,000 over the appraised value. And in the event that somebody's willing to pay more than $20,000 above the appraised value, we will beat it by $2,000 or $3,000. And this would be an ideal wording for that clause. Yeah. If they didn't have a due diligence deadline, then yes. So can you deny an appraiser access to the home if it's past the appraisal deadline? And the answer is yes, unless you had a due diligence and that still has not passed. You can still have an appraisal as part of your due diligence. The question is, should you waive all your deadlines, due diligence, financing, and appraisal? You can. Sometimes it makes sense, but you need to make sure your client really understands what's going on, because there is no cancellation if you waive those three. So if you do not close on that home, the seller can sue instead of just collect the earnest money. Right. Right. If you're going to waive all of those, you need to make sure that the appraiser can do a desktop appraisal if it's going to still be getting a loan. Otherwise, maybe just draw out that we are still giving access to an appraiser to go through the home, even though it's not subject to it. I know. Not really. I mean, it's just another required document. And then at that point, if we make some people sign it and some don't, are we opening ourselves up to more liability? I think most agents are smart enough to explain it. Yeah, there's a risk, but there's a risk in everything. Possibly, that'd be good. Okay, moving on. So here's another example of that appraisal clause. Buyer to pay $2,000 over the highest net appraisal clause. Seller to show proof of the highest net appraisal in order for the escalation to take place. Okay, here we go. I think we're down to 6 slides. Okay, escalation clauses. There's a risk and escalation clause. An escalation clause is when you state, if this is not the highest offer, we agree to beat the highest offer by X amount of dollars. And oftentimes it will say up to such and such price. If I represent a seller and it ever says up to such and such price, I will always tell my seller, counter to that price. They've already showed you what they're willing to pay. And in this competitive market, you approach them. And how I would do that is Derek, I'm going to use you as an example. You're my client. They agree, their offer is at 460,000 and they said they're willing to go up to 505,000 and beat the next offer by $5,000. I would suggest let's counter them 505,000, remove the escalation clause and see if they're willing to do it. And rather than putting it in paper, let's just call the agent. So I will call the agent and I will say, Chris, it's Rich. We got your offer. We like it. Here's what we're willing to do. We're willing to go to $505,000 in a counter offer. We do have multiple offers, but rather than play the whole game with everybody, we want to see if your client's willing to do that max price that they said. Can you let me know in the next couple hours? And if not, I'll just approach that next best offer. Chris is going to call his client. His client's going to be thrilled. They're going to win the home for once. Chris is going to call me back in probably 7 minutes. Draw up that paperwork. I'm going to send a counter offer. Escalation clause is removed. Purchase price is 505. And now I don't have to do any of the bona fide stuff that they talk about in a lot of these clauses. I've just made it very clear. Here's the purchase price, what you told me. So be careful if you represent a buyer and you show a ceiling that you advise them that there's very good chance the agent will counter to this ceiling, even if the next best offer is at 480. I don't put in a ceiling. I want my client, if I don't put in a ceiling, I'm going to make sure my buyer still has the right to cancel. And how will I do that? I will put an escalation clause that states, in the event this is not the highest offer, we'll beat the next best offer by $5,000. The seller will send over a counter offer with the new price for the buyer to sign. So now I've stated it's going to be a counter offer. And what can we do to counter offers? We can reject them. So I've protected the client. Now, if they say it's $1 million, the other question on escalation clause, what if you have two of them without a ceiling? Does it go infinite? You play the game, you figure out where that top price should be and let them know, hey, we have multiple escalation clauses without ceilings. Will you both give us your best offer with a cap? So. I can send out an email with the writing. I personally don't like to do the escalation clauses, but I realize some listing agents want them. So I'm going to write the offer as though I'm trying to read that agent. If they like escalation clauses, I'm putting one in. If they'd like ceilings, I'm putting one in there and I'm letting my client know this is really what your offer is. Your offer is 505, even though we're saying it's 460. So that's going to be one of the very last points we get to, is reading what the agent is wanting. 3 seconds, take a guess. All right, this question I'll have to revise if I use it in the future. So really what this question is stating is, if you mark yes or is for everything in section 8, which is buyer due diligence, appraisal, and financing, and you put money in 8.3, so a certain amount of money is non-refundable after due diligence, can you ever get it back? And the answer is yes. And there is all sorts of confusion on this in every brokerage. And every quiz I have, Nick, has this question, doesn't it? Every question, because this one is very important to understand. If there's any section of the REPC you should master, it is section 8. Most important paragraph of the REPC. No question to me. Okay, if you mark is for appraisal condition and it does not appraise, and you did not put your earnest money non-refundable in an addendum, then that earnest money will come back to your buyer, even if you put that a portion of it is non-refundable after due diligence. And the reason for that, you are canceling off of appraisal condition, not off of financing condition or due diligence. Got it? Different rules of cancellations. So even if it says it's non-refundable, it could be. There's loopholes for most clauses. Another example is an FHA addendum. If my appraisal deadline is June 5th and the FHA appraisal comes in at June 12th and it did not appraise, that buyer can cancel and get their earnest money back due to the FHA loophole on that addendum that states the deadline doesn't matter. So know your contracts, especially Section 8. Let's see, what slide are we on? 19 of 23. We're approaching the end. All right, let's look at that question. Fiddlehead's still on top and apricot's in second. I don't know who either of you are. Okay, 20 of you got that right, so I'm not even going to talk about that answer. Last question, I believe. Well, maybe one more. Nope, there's one more after this. So 2 questions to top. Okay, so there were 4 options. 3 of them are right. The only part or only document that is not part of the contract is the MLS document. The MLS printout is not part of the contract unless you add it as an exhibit, or in Section 9, you reference MLS number and you write it down. The main intent of the MLS listing is to cooperate between the brokers. So we can know what commission we are going to be compensated at. And that's about it. Everything else is generalized data. Square footage still needs to be pretty dang accurate. And that's why we have to document where we get the square footage. But everything else doesn't really matter. If it says with a full price offer, I will put in grass, and you write in a full price offer and didn't put an addendum that states grass to be included, they do not have to put that in. Doesn't matter. The MLS remarks, all that doesn't matter. Okay, here we go to our last question, then we'll have a winner. Yeah, never mind. We do have a winner. Let's find out who it is. Full question view. Oh, that's the wrong one. Well, how do I find out who's winning? Maybe. Nope. Who was Flapjack? I'm curious. Is it you, Nick? Way to go. Okay. We have 10 minutes. This is really what I would do if I'm putting an offer together. So these are what I personally do when I'm negotiating a deal. Price, obviously that's important. We know that. I'm going to just zip through these first few. Okay. On what date does the earnest money become non-refundable? So if there's just earnest money is one of those big things. Most people are wanting it non-refundable upon acceptance, but it can be a few days. It can be weeks. Just that's one of your big negotiation things. You should always ask that question. How soon does this earnest money need to be non-refundable? What amount of earnest money do you think your client needs? If they give me a number, if Lori says 10,000 should be sufficient, I'm going to double that number because Lori thinks 10,000 is a big number. So I really want her to think it's a gigantic number. Is the purchase price subject to an appraisal? They need to know if there's an appraisal clause or not. I recommend usually waiving it right now, as long as I included financing. And then I just draw out that there will still be an appraisal done during the due diligence, even though the section 8.2 is removed from the contract. Possession, we went through that between the differences of a short-term lease back versus a longer possession. That's one of those things that sellers are interested in. Are you going to give them the time to find their next property? And a way you can do that possession, I'm going to skip 2 down, is the flexible settlement addendum. Most people don't use this addendum. I think it's underutilized. What this addendum allows is it will state settlement will be between June 1st and August 30th. And seller will notify buyer 14 days prior to when that deadline should be. Without any notification, it will be on the very last day. So what have you done? You've just given a 3-month window for the seller to find their next property or figure out what they're doing. And then they will tell you when closing is going to take place, so you can lock in your loan and get everything to the closing table. With multiple properties where you have a sell and a buy and then a buy and a sell, I almost always recommend that. I would probably mention that there won't be any repairs during the due diligence. Most people aren't willing to do repairs right now. So just add that point in there. It just makes it stand out a little stronger. Talk to the listing agent often. This one shouldn't be that far down on the list. It probably should be number 2, right behind price. If you're only having one conversation before you submit an offer, you're doing it wrong. Get as much information as you can on the first call, and then find a reason to call back. Hey, I'm drawing up my offer. I wanted to clarify a few more things. And maybe even find an excuse to do a 3rd call. What are they finding out? That you're a professional and you don't want to have to waste time going back and forth over points if you can just get it right the first time. They are going to counteroffer, but we want them to counteroffer just a minimal amount. So we're asking them all the questions we can. Last page I have of, okay, always utilize section 8.3 BI. It doesn't have to be necessarily in this section, but you need to clarify. If you use section 8.3, you may want to clarify in the addendum what your intent with that earnest money is. Earnest money is non-refundable after due diligence. Is that your intent? Where there was quite a few of you that missed that question on 8.3, you have to remember there's that many people or more that are listing agents that do not understand that section. So if it may be beneficial to put a dollar amount in there and also reiterate it in the addendum. Quick deadlines that are agreeable to your buyer. Okay, if you want a trick on how to write a strong offer and still give your client a loophole, have a very quick seller disclosure deadline. I would say 3 days. Because most sellers are not going to give me all my disclosures within 3 days. So if I put $15,000 earnest money and 5 of it going hard upon acceptance, and they don't send me all those disclosures, and my client wants to cancel, my cancellation is going to be as follows. Either we'll release that $5,000 and sue you for $15,000, or you can just release that full amount to us. They realized at that point they made an error. They didn't provide all those seller disclosures, and now they're in default. So we're not trying to trap anybody, but I'm trying to educate you of what other people might be doing also. If you see quick seller disclosure deadlines and you represent the seller, you better make sure you have all those deadlines. Otherwise, that non-refundable amount might be coming out of your wallet. Subject to the seller securing replacement property. That's one of those questions. What's your seller doing? Where are they moving to? If they haven't found a place, maybe put this clause in there. You don't have to, but it's something you can ask. Buy it now. Really, if you're in the heat of the negotiations, you have a good relationship. If, for instance, if I was writing an offer with Clint, and I would ask Clint, hey, is there a certain price that if I wrote, your clients would for sure take that offer? And Clint's going to respond to me, I don't know. Just give me your best offer. And I'm going to approach Clint because I know him again and say, will you ask your clients if there's a certain price that they'll take the offer, and I'll submit it today. It doesn't usually happen, but if you've created that rapport with agents, you could do that. Have a closing deadline. So where we talked at the very beginning that there's 11 different deadlines, don't just have settlement and closing as settlement deadline, actually put a closing deadline. So where we had that Monday question settlement, Friday was the answer for closing, you could write in an addendum, closing deadline to be Tuesday. So now domino 1 falls on Monday, and someone can't screw it up by saying do not record till Friday, which they can do. They have to record it now on Tuesday because we gave them a closing deadline much sooner than the contract stated. Flexible settlement, I added that twice. And additional earnest money. I used to not use additional earnest money. I still don't most of the time. But if I'm past all my deadlines, sometimes it's good to, if let's say my initial earnest money was 10,000 and I want to add another 15 to make it a total of 25, it makes it that much more solid that the seller cannot cancel and try to interfere. I know it sounds weird that sellers want to cancel, but it does happen. Probably more than you want to realize. Probably 25 in a year in the brokerage where the seller, it's escalated to me where they try to cancel. Well, if your buyer is certain that they will not back out and get cold feet, then I would do that. If they don't have that money initially, then I'm just going to add it at the very near the end of the transaction, because now that 10,000 for the seller, which the home may have appreciated 25,000 that month now, but does that make sense? Okay. Seller can't back out. Seller can default, but usually their repercussion is earnest money. I mean, I don't know of any judge that's going to kick somebody out or enforce them to close on the contract, maybe on new construction. Sellers decide they don't want to sell their house often. 25 a year for the brokerage. And usually the other side will try to enforce it and get attorneys involved. And sometimes the seller will realize, yeah, I will close and I've changed my mind. But sometimes they don't. I don't. They'll hire an attorney to waste everyone's money. Okay, team meeting's over. I appreciate y'all coming. If you do have any questions, I'll stay here and I can answer any individual questions. So thanks all.